Hey, my name's Jack, and I'm here to talk about the recent post on GGG, as you can already see on the screen. It's about this one here specifically. Based on some concerns from the community that certain rare monster modifiers seem to be appearing more frequently in 3.21, we have investigated the spawn rates of rare monsters modifiers in 3.21 compared to 3.20 and can conclusively say that they have not changed. We are also assessing the balance of some of the monsters' more powerful modifiers. So I know for a fact that this is a lie, and I'm just going to prove it. So first off, the first thing first, we have this cycling damage reduction. This is actually a new rare modifier that wasn't in the game before. But it's actually an old modifier that they removed when Arch Nemesis rare modifiers got removed from the game and replaced with the older rare modifier system. So in Arch Nemesis, which they just took over from Arch Nemesis and put it onto rare mobs, there used to be this one. The invulnerability auras. Monster allies cannot take damage and it pulses. So basically, it was a periodically invulnerability which removes all debuffs and everything, and the monster completely cannot take damage in any way, shape, or form. Okay. Then after that, there were posts made, many posts like this one, also on Twitter and also on the forums that they want this removed. They were also before Arch Nemesis. They were also in Delirium. There was another problem that there were these Delirium mobs, which are now the red mobs that when you run over them, they will follow you and explode. Those in the original Delirium League used to be completely black, so you couldn't actually see them, and they used to be unkillable. So they will always remain with at least 1 HP. And I remember very clearly there was a post made about that called GG out saying these suicide bombers that are unkillable are not okay. And before that post, all the way back, before Act 5 to 10 were introduced, and it was like just Act 1 to 4 and then a repeat like in Diablo. There was a post about removing the allies cannot die aura, which is now only found on totems. So that also used to be a rare aura on rare monsters, which was taken from Diablo 3 because Diablo 3 came out before Path of Exile, and Path of Exile during that time was still in beta, right? So they just basically took it from Blizzard. Blizzard removed it after some times because their player base actually complained about too, a lot, and well, now it just continued into Path of Exile. So, as I said, these posts were made. We want this removed. This right here is the Arch Nemesis League. Then in Sentinel League, they actually removed it and replaced it with a modifier called Benevolent Guardian. And Benevolent Guardian does the following. It blocks attacks and spells. You take 20% of the damage from blocked hits, which is like the rare monster which has this aura. And monster allies cannot take damage, pulls owner. But the difference here was that in this version of this, it wasn't straight invulnerability, and the cycling duration also was a lot, like there was a lot more time frame between the cycling. So this one was actually okay, right? It wasn't exactly like removing it completely, but the player base was okay. They actually changed it, make it a little bit better, right? Because you could in fact damage them during the pulls, and I'm uncertain about this one, but I remember being able to damage the monster during the pulls. So I don't know if this is correct or not. Maybe I'm misremembering. So 100% for a fact, the cycling damage reduction, right, got introduced in 3.21, and I want to ask all of you who are watching this a question. Have you seen this aura on any rare mob during this league? Because I haven't. I have literally not seen a singular one. But I've seen this one. I've seen cycling damage reduction. And cycling damage reduction, the damage reduction is so high that it's basically invulnerability. So the cycling damage reduction is just the old arch nemesis invulnerability aura. Like, I do not understand. I do not understand why you would put this back in the game when the player base clearly asked for multiple years to please remove invulnerability from the game, and you put this rare mod back in the game. I don't get it. Okay, so that was the thing, and then Lake of Kalandar came, and as you all know, Lake of Kalandar was an absolute disaster. Because they, again, messed multiple things up, including loot. Which led to this post. Which was an apology post by Chris Wilson, going over their philosophy, and I'm pretty certain this is where the quote-unquote division meme came from, by the way. It goes over also over rare monster normalization, goes over item balance. It goes over many different things. One of the things in Lake of Kalandar that was big was AN mobs, which completely fucked up the community, causing the players to basically identify which mob was an AN mob, aka a loot goblin, and then they would have dedicated magic find colors. So let's say you get an AN mob and you know it's going to drop a lot of loot, right? You open a portal, you log out your character, you log on your magic find character, which is most likely going to be a Slayer with its 20% culling. You kill the AN mob, you screen explodes with loot. And the players were not happy because that was just straight bad game design. And before this apology, the player base like clearly told people like this is like not fun. I'm not having fun. This is bad. And GG did the exact same thing that they did here. They said, "You guys are wrong. We are right." Right. So, and I have one more example that tells you that GG purposefully hides, or maybe not purposefully, but definitely hides changes in the game without putting them in the patch notes, and that is this one. So if you're a really old Path of Exile player, you might remember this. This is a rare modifier called Necrovigil. And what Necrovigil does is, right here, do you see this monster? While a monster is inside the Necrovigil aura, it cannot die. So, why is this important? Because Necrovigil got removed from the game without ever being in the patch notes. And I remember this very clearly. And I think it was in the Bestiary patch. This was... oh my god. I can't remember. It was such a long time ago. So I think like 3.06 or something. I can't remember. Really long time ago. It was never in the patch notes, and you can look at the Bestiary patch note. It's not in there, but they did remove it, right? And also this league they added multiple new rare mod. Like this is not the only new rare modifier that got changed. A new rare modifier which I noticed is a new resistance. I started noticing these purple orbs around monsters, and I wondered what it was, and I realized there's a new rare modifier that gives monsters chaos resistance and wither resistance. So, as you can see, on all these points that I made, is that this isn't the first time that GG purposefully obfuscated something to make themselves look better, or to try to die down the outrage of the player base. And I have no doubt in my mind that this right here is simply not true. That's my rant. That's my rant on GGG. I'm just tired of this. Why do you feel the need to obfuscate things from the player base? Why can't you just be like, this is what we want, right? This is what we want. We want the game to be slower so we can make Path of Exile 2 slower. Because that's right, that's what's obviously what's going on. Like, and it's very also clear with Crucible that you didn't have the time to really test Crucible and make it better because you're putting all your effort into Path of Exile 2. That's also fine. Like as the player, I want to play Path of Exile 2. I want you to succeed. I want it to be a really, really good game which I played for a long time. But in the meantime, instead of keep making these same mistakes over and like making your player base unhappy, wouldn't it be simply easier to, when concentrating on Path of Exile, to redo one of the old leagues that people really liked and just fix the game? That is my suggestion. For example, Legacy League, right? People loved Legacy League. People also loved Breach. They loved Ritual. People liked Sanctum. Sanctum needed some small fixing, but it was a good concept and it was clean. But another problem that also with the Crucible League is you give people these mechanics and then you put in downsides, but you never advertise the downsides, right? You always say, oh, so Crucible, we're gonna have these weapon trees and your weapons are gonna be great, and then you're like, oh, then player play the league and they're like, oh, there's like unique this like putting together like the two weapons or two different weapon trees is like a disaster and completely messes up the weapon tree, and there's these downsides and like the monsters are like really extremely powerful. If you just took yourself a little bit more time and really tested things, I think this wouldn't happen. That's the end of the video. I'm not playing the Path of Exile right now because of all these problems. I really want to play the game. I enjoy Path of Exile, but in its current state, I am just not happy. QDoc has recently released a video which actually pretty much nailed it on the head. So check out his channel on that, or check out that video. And yeah, that's my rant on this. Thank you for watching. I'm going to, in the future, make more videos. I've been playing Path of Exile for a long time. Leave a subscribe, leave a like if you want to. Bye.